Hey everyone, it's Bethany Finch with American Made Home Solutions. I'm going to turn the Bluetooth on so you guys can hear. All right, let's try that again. You might be able to hear now. All right. Hey guys, it's Bethany Finch with American Made Home Solutions. Today on the how-to video, we are going to be talking about how to keep contractors working. I know those of you that are in the flipping business, it's a constant battle, struggle, that is a challenge that we're always facing, as well as on bigger projects, whether it's new development, multifamily, any number of things. Basically, it all comes down to your team and how do you get your team to be on the same page. So one of the biggest things and the best things that you can do is lay out clear expectations from the beginning. We at American Made Home Solutions do this by establishing a contract right from the beginning that is very clear and concise. This is the exact work that's going to be done. This is how much is going to be paid. This is when it's going to be paid. This is the timeline the work is going to be done. And it's not just a start and end date, but instead there's benchmarks along the way. So we call those KPIs, key performance indicators, that show that they're on track and they're on schedule. And one of the biggest things that we have found is with contractors, they are phenomenal at doing what they do best, which is doing the actual work. They're not always so good at organization or scheduling, because that's just a different skill set that not all of them have. Some of them have done a great job incorporating somebody else onto their team to do that, and others have not. So you get that full gamut of people when you're working with contractors of all different walks of life. So one of the things that we do is we empower our contractors to be able to make better decisions, not just for us, but for their company on their behalf. So in doing so, for instance, if we are hiring them to GC a project that, say, is a $50,000 project, that $50,000 project isn't a one job. It's multiple jobs all along the way. For instance, it might be ripping out and demoing the whole place. It might be, after ripping out and demoing, it might be doing some electrical work. Then it might be doing some plumbing work. Then it might be getting inspections and all that passed. Then it might be doing some sheetrock. Then, okay, now we've got the sheetrock in, let's take care of the painting or painting and texture. Then it might be, the next one might be, okay, now we've got that done, let's get our vanities and such in, let's get our appliances, our cabinets, and all of this, a set order to that process. So when we determine that, yes, we're hiring them for that particular job, we break it down into the individual steps that are involved in that process. It's getting the flooring down, getting the baseboard and trim down, getting, the touch-up paint done, because obviously you mess up some of those things, and whatnot. And that process, when you break it down with them, you create a payment schedule. So for instance, if they're doing the demo, here's how much they believe that demo portion of it, of that $50,000 is going to cost. And that includes whatever their dump fees are, or haul fees and lifts and all that kind of such. Other times it might be the demo and getting the rough and electrical done. Whatever those steps, individual steps are, we just break them all down. When we break them down, they agree to how much of that. Sometimes you can just take it as a percent. Some of the guys are very astute and know exactly that demo work's only going to cost me $200, but that electrical is going to cost me $3,000. And so they can determine what those prices are and whatnot. And that's a total negotiation between the two of you. They know how many guys they're going to have to put on to get that work done. They know which guys they're paying for what. And obviously they have different guys getting paid different levels. So that's their job to determine that part of it. But you want to be able to have that communication. So you have, once those benchmarks are done, this is how much they're expecting to get paid. This is the date they expect it to get done. So both of you can plan out your schedules. One of the biggest challenges is when you're doing a very large renovation, whether it's a single family, whether it's a multifamily, whether it's a new build, is planning that out and determining that. So when you have multitudes of contractors coming and going, plumbers, electricians, general contractor or carpenters, inspections that need to be done and coordinated, you have to be organized with that. If they're not willing to be organized and come on board with you as far as a schedule and sticking to that schedule, then they're probably not the right team member for you. because if they don't show up and they don't do their work and they're not done, well, then now the electrical inspector's not going to be able to pass them, and therefore it's going to have to be rescheduled. Oftentimes there's more fees involved with that, as well as it puts other contractors behind and they have to reschedule. It affects everybody. It's just like the domino effect. So oftentimes by doing this right out of the gate, determining this is the schedule, this is the payment, will this work with your current jobs that you already have scheduled and doing, and are you willing to prioritize that? So for instance, if you take new jobs, they're not going to take the place of our jobs and push us back. So on that aspect, we do also recognize the need to sometimes put a bite into that, and we have an accountability measure in our contracts, a per diem if you miss those deadlines, because it is possible that they're going to find another job, and maybe that job is so much more lucrative that in their mind as a business owner, they're choosing to go do that, which is fine, but there's a cost to you. And now you have to pay these fees of rescheduling and doing these other things, so you have to offset those costs. And that's what a per diem can oftentimes do. On the other side of that, those clear expectations remove the gray. So if in the construction world, the majority of the contractors are men. That's just the way it is. Nothing wrong with it, it's just the way it is. So in dealing with that, what oftentimes happens is miscommunication can happen, especially if you're a woman talking to a man. We communicate differently. So when you put those expectations down in writing, it's black and white. There's no gray, right? It's very clear, it's laid out. So when something comes up and say the deadline comes and goes and they're not done, it's pretty easy to point back to, did you agree to this? Did you sign to this? Did you say that you would do this? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, then here's what's going to happen now, right? And by having those key performance indicators, at any point, they can be paid out and let go. So contractors also have to realize that if they're not performing and they're not showing up to work, they don't get to keep the job. And unfortunately, so many people in areas where contractors, it's supply and demand, and the contractors know that, I don't feel like going in today, it's a sunny day, and they just don't show up because they know they're not going to get somebody else. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And so we all need to have accountability. And in doing so, you allow the black and white expectations that you laid out from the beginning to speak for that. I hope you find that helpful. I hope you find one of the other aspects is don't be afraid to fire quickly and hire slowly. Calling those references, getting in touch with those other jobs and such that you've seen or that they've said that they've done, and finding out what their work ethic was, things like that. If you find that someone was very slow or had a lot of delays and you're on a very tight schedule with your construction or renovation, that may not be a good fit for you. If you're very flexible and you have lots of times, it may be okay. So each situation and each job is unique to its own. But contractors, they love getting paid. They love when American Made Home Solutions, when we pay them over and over, time and time again, and they just get that repeat business for us. They can count on it. They know that. They love that. Why do they love that? Why? Because we're consistent and we're reliable. And when we expect them to be consistent and reliable, and we in turn do the same, they don't have any problem showing up to work and doing the job that they were hired to do. So you get a great performance, you get them keeping their word, as well as a good working relationship. So contractors just want to stay busy. They want to keep their work and their paychecks coming in, and you create that win-win by having clear communications, by putting it down in writing, and by allowing and empowering them to make their own decisions as a business owner, but also having accountability measures put in place. So I hope those 3 tips were helpful today for how to keep the contractors working, and you can find more resources and whatnot available at our YouTube page. So you can just check us out on the YouTube channel, or you can, if you have further questions or you'd like to consider hiring us to take care of some of your renovations because you're selling and you would rather just wait. We buy houses? Yes, it's true. We buy houses. We buy houses as is, and in doing so, we take care of all the renovations. You don't have to do any of that. You literally just sign on the dotted line, pack up whatever stuff you want, and walk away. And that's how easy it is. The same is true if you're a landlord and you're in certain states, we won't name names, that are not necessarily very landlord friendly. and you're starting to have a lot more problems due to not only COVID, but other things. So in those scenarios, and you're just done, you're just tired of tenants, you're tired of toilets, those are times when you definitely want to give us a call. We are nationwide, we're in key markets across the nation, and we have an entire team of investors that we work with. So if we're not in your market already, we already have probably fairly likely that we have someone else already in that market, and we'd be happy to make you an offer. So give us a call today, 360-386-7493, or you can email us at info@americanmadehomesolutions.com. Have a great day. We will see you tomorrow. Now tomorrow, it will not be at 8:30 Pacific time. It will be 7:30 Pacific time. And the time zones are changing a little bit, and I need to be able to keep that straight. So it'll be at 7:30 tomorrow morning. So you want to check out tomorrow's video, 7:30 tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 Pacific time. So whatever time zone you're in, make adjustments. All right. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.